Mr. Hoven, the suspect, admitted to you, to the video that they received money?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
As what? Para saan yung
Ah,
perang yun?
Una po, Mr. Chair, para sa una pong pagtanggap ng pera was 100,000 po for a killing of a certain kagawad Virgilio Coronado Soledad.
Okay, so every time there is somebody killed, merong kapalit na bayad yon. Is that what
Ang
he is
nabanggit
saying?
niya lang po yung pangatlo po nilang pinatay na binigyan po sila ng 100,000.
Okay, sige.
Tapos ang binanggit niya rin po, Mr. Chair, was doon sa kay Mueller, ang reward money po was 50,000.
Okay, sige. Thank you, Mr. Britannico. We also have here Miss Erminia Moking Espino. Where is Miss Espino? Si Ma'am Moking. So, Ma'am, I'm glad that you are able to attend this committee hearing.
Yes, good evening po, Mr. Chair.
Yes, we sent you invitations during the last two hearings that the Quad conducted, but you failed to attend. That's why I'm glad that you are here.
Because po of medical condition.
Oh, so did you undergo a medical procedure, no?
I had check-up, Mr. Chair, and I was diagnosed with pneumonia po.
Okay, sige. Tanong ko lang, Miss Mook, can I call you Moking?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
That's your nickname.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Imo nang dagnay ni mo na. Are you Bisaya? Are you from
Bisaya, Mr. Chair.
Unsa man na kanang angga sa imo?
Angga.
Angga sa imo na. Okay.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
So Moking, saan ka nagtatrabaho?
At present, Mr. Chair, City Government of Davao, Mr. Chair.
City Government of Davao.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Congressman Akop.
may I inquire if the resource person has taken her oath?
Done already, Mr. Chair, Your
you.
Honor.
Thank you, Congressman Akop, for reminding us. So, ma'am, you're still connected with the Davao City Hall, LGU.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
And previous to your employment now at the Davao City Hall, where were you connected?
Office of the President, Mr. Chair.
Sa Office of the President, former President.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Okay, and what is your position at the Office of the President?
Assistant Secretary, Mr. Chair, from 2016 to 2021 and 2022 to January to June of 2022, USEC, Mr. Chair.
USEC of what, ma'am?
OP, Mr. Chair.
So USEC, all those years you were under the OP.
Yes, Mr. Chair, from September 2016 to June of 2022.
So first ASEC, ang entry mo was ASEC.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Okay, prior to your being employed at the Office of the President, saan ka connected?
City Government of Davao, Mr. Chair.
So you were already at the LGU sa City of Davao before you became ASEC and then eventually became USEC of the Office of the President.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Okay, so thank you. There was I cannot exactly remember what phrase or statement in the affidavit of Colonel Royina Garma wherein she mentioned your name as the one in charge of sending money. May I know to whom do you send this money?
I don't send any money, Mr.
So
Chair.
never.
Never, Mr. Chair.
Oh, hindi lang, I don't have kasi a copy of the affidavit of Colonel Garma, but I will try to look for a copy of the said affidavit. But in the meantime, I'd like to recognize Congresswoman Jinky Luistro. Sorry, I had to cut you earlier. May I know the pleasure of the gentle
I
lady
have
from...
few interjections for Mr. Britannico to pursue the same line of question raised by the two gentlemen.
Okay,
Mr.
please
Chair.
proceed.
Mr. Britannico, can you please clarify a certain Police Corporal Joseph Aldo Hoven made an admission, saan po niya ginawa yung pag-amin na tinutukoy niyo?
Una po niyang binahagi ang pag-amin po niya, Mr. Chair, Ma'am Chair, sa NBI-DID po. Tapos,
May we know who was the agent on case during the time?
one of the agents, Mr. Chair, was Attorney Zulaika Puñales po.
Attorney Zulaika
Puñales
Coniales.
po, among other agents.
Can you please state the date when he did this admission?
That must have been June 6 of 2020, Mr. Chair.
Was that admission ever put into writing, Mr. Britannico?
Hindi po, Mr. Chair.
I wonder why.
Yun rin po, Mr. Chair.
Was the family present when that admission was given in front of the NBI agent?
We were in the vicinity, Mr. Chair, but not on that same room, Mr. Chair.
Was there no one who initiated to put this admission in writing during that time?
At that time po, Mr. Chair, hindi po.
All right.
At that
How-
time po, Mr. Chair.
How about on the part of the NBI agent? Was it a custodial investigation, a question and answer that is happening where he did that admission?
I wouldn't be familiar, Mr. Chair, on how they conducted the investigation, Mr. Chair, but it was, I understand it was quite lengthy. It was at least a night of perhaps answering, engaging with him, Mr. Chair.
Would you know if Corporal Hovet during the time was being assisted by his own lawyer?
He had a lawyer, Mr. Chair.
May we know the name of that lawyer?
Attorney Gayos, Mr. Chair.
Attorney Ragayos.
Attorney Gayos, Mr.
Gayos.
Chair. Yes, we did provide him that lawyer, Mr. Chair.
I wish to manifest, Mr. Chair, that if it was a custodial investigation that took place in the NBI, then I suppose that there is a record with the NBI where the admission was done by Corporal Hovet in the presence and while assisted by his own lawyer. And would you know also, if you are familiar, the Miranda doctrine was explained to him?
I wouldn't know, Mr. Chair, of what took place when he was being asked about his knowledge of the case.
The reason, Mr. Chair, why I am raising these questions, I do not understand kung bakit mayroong nagko-confess na, umaamin na. Ano ba to? Pinalaya pa?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Ultimately, a night after or the day after he was released, one of the reasons given was that it was in conflict of a theory.
Arbitrary detention.
It was in conflict with findings of their NBI's own investigation.
How can it be in conflict if the person is actually admitting having killed not just one person, but actually, how many are they? 5.
Yes, that is a mystery also to us, Mr. Chair. At that time, when Hoven, just to explain a little background, Mr. Chair, on the circumstances, Hoven surrendered after a case was filed against him. The case had information.
This case is the case of your brother?
Yes.
When you said filed where? With the DOJ?
With the DOJ, Mr. Chair. There was a witness that was identified, a certain taxi driver.
Was it subsequent to or prior? The one you said he surrendered. Was it subsequent to or prior to the admission you were referring to earlier?
It was the case. I'm sorry, if you could repeat that question,
Alin
Mr.
po
Chair.
yung nauna? Yung sinasabi niyong admission before the NBI? or yung surrender after the case was filed with the DOJ?
Sumunod na lang po yung surrender after po nakapag-file ng kaso.
So, it appears that there were two opportunities already to take custody of the respondent at the very least.
That's correct, Mr. Chair.
Can I raise some question with the DOJ? May we know who was the handling prosecutor of this case?
Mr. Chair, we will submit the name after the hearing, Your Honor.
Can you please enlighten us? Fiscal, should I say?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
My admission, and correct me if I'm wrong, that amounts to extrajudicial confession already, because that happened during custodial investigation, and the respondent is being assisted by his own lawyer. What
Yes,
should
Mr.
be the
Chair.
process?
Mr. Chair, if I am correct, what happened is that sometime May 2020, the police officer Hoven voluntarily surrendered and admitted what he did. And around June of the same year, it is the time when the complaint was filed. The complaint was for the crime of murder and theft against the two police officers, Police Officer Villanueva.
You were referring, sir, about which cases? The one filed in June.
Britannico case, Mr. Chair.
Britannico case. So, does this mean na nag-request ng preliminary investigation ng ating respondents?
Mr. Chair, it is a regularly filed case by the NBI as well as the father of the victim, Attorney Salvador Britannico and Karen Britannico, the spouse of the victim, against two police officers, Police Officer Villanueva and Hoven, and two John Does, for the crime of murder and theft. And because the theory is that they carried out the killing and that the taking of the cell phone was just to hide the crime that they committed, that's why the crime that was charged is murder, the theft was dismissed. Later on, 2 years after, they filed another complaint for robbery with homicide against, I think, seven police officers.
Sir, let's go back to the extrajudicial confession. Would you confirm that what happened at the NBI during that custodial investigation is already an extrajudicial confession?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
From the point of view of the DOJ, of the National Prosecution Service, of the prosecutor, ano po ba dapat ang gagawin nyo given the fact na merong valid extrajudicial confession?
Based from the resolution, Mr. Chair,
Let's start from the date of the extrajudicial confession that the person is already at the office of the NBI. I wish to submit that with a valid extrajudicial confession, you will be able to establish outright the required amount of evidence that is probable cause. Am I correct?
Yes, Mr. Chair. That's why the case was filed sometime October 2021
Wait
for the
a
crime
second.
of murder.
When did the admission at the NBI happen? According to Mr. Britannico, it was June 6, 2020. Why did it have to take until October of 2020?
Mr. Chair, the second case was filed sometime 2022. The case that they filed was originally against 4 respondents only, Mr. Chair.
Please pardon me for interrupting. I wish to be enlightened. No? My extrajudicial confession,
Yes, Mr. Chair.
executed June 6, 2020. The person of interest, if not the respondent, is already at the premises of the NBI.
Mr. Chair, I think the NBI would be the best person to address that. Because what they filed is just against 4 respondents. And what the DOJ did was to file the case, the complaint that they filed. The DOJ
Would you
filed.
know, sir, the date when the NBI forwarded the case to DOJ?
I think around June 2020.
June 2020, Mr. Britannico?
Ma'am, just the sequence of events, Mr. Chair. The NBI first filed their case, which my father was also signatory.
Doon lang po tayo sa first case, sir.
Yes, yes. May 29 of 2020 po.
So the very day when your brother was killed,
May 29, 2020 po. So,
2020.
yes, so about
When did the incident happen?
January 19, 2020.
January 19.
Opo.
Alright.
So na-file po yung case ng May 29, 2020. On June 5 po, Hoven surrenders po sa Iloilo. Tapos he was flown po to Manila, and on June 6, that was when po he was he was in NBI TAF po. And that is when he made the confession po to the NBI at the time.
Alright. Balikan ko po si DOJ. This is actually an inquiry that I wish you will impart to all of us. From the point of view of the fiscal, mayroon kang valid extrajudicial confession. You will agree with me if I would say that that is enough to establish probable cause, right?
Mr. Chair, yes, if that is the fact, Mr. Chair. Unfortunately, the extrajudicial confession was not signed, and based on the records, there was no allegation that the extrajudicial confession was made with the assistance of a counsel for the respondent, the one making the admission.
Do you confirm that, Mr. Britannico, the extrajudicial confession
Hindi po
was
pinarmahan, Madam Chair po. But it was made po with the NBI with the presence of a lawyer.
It was done in the presence of the lawyer, but it was not signed.
At the time po, kasi ang sinasabi po, ang sinabi po ni NBI po at the time, hindi nila tatanggapin po yung confession ni Hoven. So he was told po na hindi ka namin tatanggapin as a witness.
And that is the reason why Hoven did not sign the extrajudicial confession.
Ganon po ang nangyari.
Well, how about when Hoven surrendered with the DOJ?
Hindi po siya
Was it with the
nag-surrender.
DOJ?
Sa NBI po. Sa NBI po sa Iloilo ng June 5 po.
All right.
Tapos,
Was there ever a chance na ginawa ulit yung admission na yon during the period and surrendered with the
Sa amin
NBI?
na lang po sa pamilya ng 2 beses po, on 2 separate instances on video po. But he did not also sign his affidavit, but he signed all documents po pertaining to his narration of events.
Mr. Chair, I just want to manifest my frustration that the family had the chance already to secure a valid extrajudicial confession of guilt. However, I do understand what went wrong, why there was a delay in the filing, because lamentably speaking, Mr. Britannico, based on your narration, since it was not signed, that never ripened into a valid extrajudicial confession of guilt. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Congresswoman Jinky. Congressman,
Mr. Chair, I was about to ask about similar questions with what was already
okay.
asked by Kong
so
Jinky.
thank you, Congressman Keith Flores.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Congresswoman Arlene Brosas.
Yes, Mr. Chair, since we are on the topic of extrajudicial killings, Mr. Chair, pwede ko na ba i-present, Mr. Chair, yung ilan pang mga cases ng extrajudicial killings, Mr. Chair?
Please continue.
Yes, Mr. Chair, since nagbigay po ng copy yata ng pahayag yung mga 2 pamilya po na narito, si Rosenda Lemita at si Lizelle Asuncion, ang asawa po ni Manny Asuncion at ang nanay, no, ni Chay Asuncion, Lemita. Sila po yung mga biktima ng Bloody Sunday. Mr. Chair, siguro dahil meron namang copy yung mga colleagues natin, baka pwedeng direct questions na lang. I will direct my questions to the family, no, kay Nanay Enda. Tapos siguro magtanong na rin ako ng ilan sa ating mga resource speakers, Mr. Chair.